All right, what is up? Welcome to Speak Truth Sports. I'm Bert. Today I'm joined by Tae once again, and we are talking about the Panthers' recent moves, the absolute steal they got with Stephon Gilmore, and does this move push them over the top a little bit to make them real contenders? Now, let's go over, the deal they made with Stephon Gilmore and kind of the craziness around that. Then we're going to kind of dive into their previous moves, and then also just combine it with what they've done this season, and we'll give you a conclusion on whether or not we think they're really contenders. So Tay, go ahead and give me the what happened with the Stephon Gilmore stuff.
Okay, so just to kind of make a whole wrap around it, the Patriots announced that they were going to release Gilmore. Everybody was going nuts. Everybody was going crazy. I mean, it was just such a shock to the NFL.
Okay.
And then, around, I would say like 3:30, like not even at 2:30, you get a notification. Everybody's probably phones went nuts. Everybody had probably Phil Yates and Adam Schefter on Twitter. Their phones probably blowing up because Carolina actually went and traded for Stephon Gilmore for a 2023 sixth-round draft pick. I mean, that is the biggest steal, if I could ever say it. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It was out of nowhere too, because
it was just so random.
And like the way the report was kind of phrased, felt like they had already cut Stephon Gilmore. So everyone was like, "Oh, he's a free agent now," but no, they were planning to cut him the next day, but they didn't yet. And I think Carolina was one of the few teams that realized this and was like, "Hey," it probably hit up New England and was like, "Hey, have you cut him yet?" And they were like, "Not yet."
Not necessarily, yeah.
And then they were like, "You want a sixth?"
And there was like,
sure.
Why not?
But it's
I imagine that's how the conversation went.
Yeah. But it's like seeing how many teams were interested the second that they announced he was going to be released. Like seeing how many teams were so interested in getting him, which was basically almost every team in the NFL. How could the Patriots not have gotten at least a fifth? I mean, at least something.
I remember seeing a report after that said that they tried to trade him instead of releasing him initially, and nobody wanted to make a trade for him. But this is my thing. You guys don't want to make a trade for him, but when he announced that he's going to get released, half of the NFL goes into a frenzy, and everybody's inquiring about him. I mean, at this point, if you guys really wanted him, just trade for him. I mean, he's an all-pro guy. He's going to be your number one corner as soon as the minute he steps on the field. I know he's on the PUP list right now, but that's only till week 6. So necessarily he's only out another week. I don't know if he's capable to come off next week or he has to sit out next week. But if he's able to come off next week, I mean, the Panthers got the biggest steal of the year. I mean, it's already a steal of the year for a 6th-round pick for, I would say, a top 5 corner in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. No other team made a move because all it took was a 6th. I mean, shoot, like maybe the Ravens should have jumped at that when they lost Marcus Peters. Maybe the football team should have jumped on that because their entire secondary sucks right now. Maybe the Falcons, their secondary sucks. There's so many teams that, it's so hard to find a good corner.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Stephon was coming off a quad injury, I mean, I still expect him to be somewhat decent. He's not going to be bad.
Yeah, he won't. I mean, with somebody who has the technique and the ability that he has, he's just so smart that, he's not going to lose that. He might lose the physical ability. He might not be as fast and might not be able to keep up with most guys with that blanket coverage he has. But you could even put in Stephon Gilmore in his zone. I mean, the guy is so smart that he's still going to make plays regardless where you put him at.
Yeah, and I mean, to answer whether or not this makes the Panthers contenders, let's look at what else they did earlier this season that we didn't actually get to make a video on. They traded for C.J. Henderson.
And I believe that deal was they got Dan Arnold. So the Jaguars received Dan Arnold and a 3rd-round pick for C.J. Henderson and a 5th. So essentially they got, a pretty good young corner for a tight end that was kind of just like that's been lingering on and off their roster forever. And they got another draft pick out of it on top of having a young corner. I mean, these guys are just going around just like, hey, we'll give you this, this, and this. They're kind of just like, they're just giving up. So it's like, just giving up nothing. And they're just getting so much with it. I mean, it's crazy to think. And to speak on another one, the Sam Darnold deal, the one that has obviously been the best deal that they have made so far, because Sam Darnold looks like the white Lamar Jackson. I think he has 5 rushing touchdowns this year already. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns last week in this game last week. But with that deal, the Jets got a 6th-round pick. They got a 2nd, and they got a 4th. And the Panthers got Sam Darnold essentially. I would easily give up that for somebody who was who was the number 2 overall pick. I would expect that they probably would want a first back, but given that he didn't probably produce as much with them, just because of how bad the Jets are, they're probably just taking anything, and they weren't probably expecting to get a 1st-round pick. But I think that they possibly could have got one. Just the fact that he's young, he was a top quarterback prospect when he came into the league. I feel like somebody would have taken a chance on him for a 1st-round pick. But hey, the Panthers got him for a steal, and it's playing out for them pretty well. I mean, all these trades, I would have to say, this makes them legitimate contenders. Their defense was already pretty good, but then you add C.J. Henderson, you add Stephon Gilmore, Dante Jackson's there, Jeremy Chin is there. I can't think of the name of their free safety, but I mean their free safety's been playing well. Shaq Thompson's there. They already had a decent pass rush. I mean, this team is built for success. On the offensive side, you have Darnold, who's been doing well with Terrence Marshall, DJ Moore. Who's there? They have a 3rd guy as well. McCaffrey, when he's been playing, he's been doing pretty well. Chuba has been filling in and doing his job pretty well. I mean, this team is already clicking so well. And when you add, a great veteran with a young prospect who's only going to get better, I mean, the sky is really the limit. Honestly, I have to say.
Did you get to say Robbie Anderson? Was that the guy?
Robbie Anderson. Yes, that's the name I forget. Robbie Anderson. So,
Sam also forgets him on the field. So
yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think that Carolina has built this, somewhat. I wouldn't say a super team, but they've built a good franchise team right here that they can possibly. If they don't win this year, I mean, if they keep the team around them, they could possibly do something in the future for sure.
Yeah, they have a lot of young pieces. They've sneakily rebuilt this team really, really well under the radar. I mean, DJ Moore and Sam Darnold is a connection that's just really it's very unbreakable. It's really hard to stop. And I mean, let's be honest. On paper, they have some of the best offensive weapons, and now they're starting to get a lot of good defensive weapons as well. They did lose J.C. Horn. Is he out for the season?
Yes, I believe he's out for the season with a broken foot.
That sucks, but look, they got Stephon Gilmore to mitigate.
He gets a replacement. Yep. You get the best replacement for a young rookie who probably would have been a star rookie CB this year. You get arguably one of the best corners in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And, he's known for this tight blanket coverage that nobody can seem, to break or have a great game against. Yep. I wouldn't expect him to be able to do that this year coming off a torn quad. But, even if you play him in some zone concepts, have him play flats, not necessarily have him doing too much running down the field and kind of, let him contain the area. I mean, he's still capable to make plays because he's just so smart, and it's Stephon Gilmore. What more do I need to say? He is that guy.
Yeah. I also agree. I think they are contenders, serious contenders. Their loss against Dallas, didn't look great, but they also didn't have Christian McCaffrey, and now they have Stephon Gilmore as well. If a lot of it relies on health, but if this team is fully healthy, they have the pieces to be able to make a serious run. I think right now it's probably between them, the Rams, the Bucks, probably the Cardinals too, and maybe the Cowboys can make some noise. I'm not sure how far they can go.
Absolutely.
But I think they're the biggest teams that are in serious contention right now in the NFC. And it's going to be very interesting to see how playoff matchups play out, because that could really determine who ends up actually going on to the Super Bowl. Funny enough, we also forgot to mention the Packers. I know, their defense is horrible. They did just pick up was Jalen Smith, right?
Yeah, I believe they're talking about finalizing the contract with him today.
Yeah, and theoretically they have Aaron Rodgers, so they should be contenders. But that just shows how under the radar the NFC has kind of been from building their teams and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're not really deep, but the teams they got are really good at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, man. This Carolina team's looking really scary.
Yeah.
NFC South, I'm sorry. I thought, maybe some of these other teams will have a chance. Saints, I don't know. You guys have been looking somewhat decent. Falcons, just get ready to draft next year. And I mean, it's really just between the Panthers and the Bucks to win that division. And I mean, truthfully, I think the Panthers could give the Bucks a run for the money for the division this year. And even when it comes to some of these division games, they could really be really, really competitive games, not used to these blowout wins with the Bucks just, walking all over the Panthers. It's just not going to be that easy anymore.
I think they're both 3-1 right now, right?
I believe so, yes.
They're both tied for the top of the division.
Yeah.
It really could be a lot closer there than both of us anticipated. I had the Panthers second in our before the season preview. I didn't think they'd be right up on the Bucks, though. I didn't think it would be.
No, not at all. I wouldn't think it would be a tie for first. I thought it would, Bucks are first, and they're second because they just happen to be performing that well this season.
Yeah, and the Saints they've been on and off. When they're hot, but when they're cold, they're cold.
Yeah, really cold.
Yeah, and they're something's been up with their run game. They've been trying to ground and pound a little too much when that's not Kamara's game.
Yeah,
they need to throw some more screen passes at him or something. Just get him.
I would say that them not having the usual running back committee, it's kind of hurting them because they can't run the same offense that they were used to like. Yeah. But I also forgot they lost their offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he went to the Chargers, and that's a big reason why the Chargers is thriving so much.
Yeah,
Justin Herbert is looking just phenomenal. But like we said, Carolina's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, watch out. I would say that they're going to definitely give them some trouble with these division games that's coming on later on the season.
For sure. Yeah, I expect the Panthers to make the playoffs. If they don't, that would be massive disappointment from this point on. That's all I really got to say. We both kind of agree they're serious contenders at this point.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for watching. This has been Speak True Sports. I've been Bert.
Take.
We'll catch you guys next time. Like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
See you.